The romantic dinner Yaman prepared for his girlfriend Sara. It lit the fire of love. The meal Yaman prepared for his girlfriend, Sara Bluma, brought tears to her eyes. It lit the flame of love. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Prime Gossip. Before we get to the video, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe and support me, friends. Yaman's recipe for love, food he prepares with his hands, for the chef of his heart. Once one of Turkey's most famous actors, Yaman is now making headlines not only for his acting but also for his sincerity and openness in his private life. This time, a shocking event, Yaman prepared a meal for his girlfriend, Sara Bluma, with his own hands. But it's not just about the food. Behind this small gesture lie the signs of deep love. Instead of proclaiming his love, Yaman demonstrates how true love should be lived, openly, but without exaggeration. A meal cooked with love, emotions beyond the table. A video shared by Sara Bluma on her Instagram story. Soft music in the background, Yaman meticulously preparing the food in the kitchen. And his loving gaze. The video is short but meaningful. Yaman looks enchanted as he cooks, and his feelings for Sara are revealed with every movement. Food isn't just food, it's a different way of saying, "I'd do anything for you." Social media was flooded with these images. Some saw this gesture as the height of romance, while others interpreted it as showing off. But the real question wasn't what Yaman did, but how he did it. It was sincere. He wasn't pretending. Sara was holding the camera, but can seem to be there just for her. Those moments were a simple but meaningful memory of a natural couple. They don't hide their love despite being ordinary. Yaman has lived his life in the public eye for years. But in recent years, there has been a noticeable difference in his relationship with Sara Bluma, unlike his previous relationships, naturalness and openness. He neither hides nor exaggerates his relationship. He lives simply. And this is rare in show business. Most celebrities either hide their love or make it obvious. On the other hand, simply says, "This is who we are." This naturalness of the couple has drawn criticism. The fact that Sara Bluma is outside of Turkey, in particular, has upset some of Yaman's fans. Those who ask, "Why isn't she Turkish?" or "Who is Sara?" ask, "And who is Sara?" However, answered all these questions with a single gesture. He rolled up his sleeves and prepared dinner for his lover. A simple, sincere, and meaningful answer. In the face of criticism, the voice of love is hidden in his actions. Yaman proves that in this relationship, he is not just a lover, but also a partner by supporting Sara. Criticism on social media, particularly against Sara Bluma, has increased recently. Some fans felt Sara was insufficient for Can. There were even comments on some platforms arguing that Yaman should have dated someone more famous or from Turkey. However, never responded directly to these comments. Instead, he spoke with his actions. He chose to live his relationship with Sara with pride and affection. He took a spatula and entered the kitchen. As a lover, he demonstrated his love not only with words but also with actions. His relationship with Sara Bluma wasn't just a relationship, it was also the courage to stand up for love. Yaman's changing image, leaving the tough guy behind and incoming the romantic man. When his star was just beginning to shine in Turkey, Yaman was portrayed more as a tough, masculine, and transgressive figure. But over time, especially after settling in Italy and adapting to his new surroundings, this image gradually changed. Now, instead of being a muscular, furious character on screen, he was seen as in real life, we see him as a man who smiles, falls in love, and cooks for his girlfriend. This transformation could also have an impact on his acting career. An actor's real-life image can be similar to the roles he plays. Now, Yaman is known not only for his action projects, but also for his deeper and more emotional stories. Perhaps his romance with Sara Bluma made his emotional side more visible. The message on the table, "I love you in every bite." The details of the video Sara Bluma shared were like the dialogue in a romance novel. The fresh ingredients Yaman used to prepare the food. The simple yet aesthetic presentation he set on the table. The romantic music in the background. Everything seemed fictional, but it was reality. This table wasn't just a commercial shoot, it was the embodiment of sincerity and love. The table wasn't just food. It was effort, dedication, and the desire to live together. Yaman gave Sara not only a beautiful evening, but a small but meaningful glimpse into the life they built together. A man cooking for his girlfriend, cliché or revolution? In the world of tabloids, romantic gestures from men are often portrayed with flowers, surprise vacations, and diamonds. But when a man enters the kitchen for his girlfriend, it can sometimes be unexpected. It's often considered a gesture. Yaman's action perhaps broke the stereotype. Investing in your love isn't just about material gifts, but also dedicating time and affection. Yaman demonstrated this clearly. Sara Bluma's response, "The language of love is in the eyes." The moments in the video Sara Bluma shared when she looked at Yaman were quite striking. There wasn't just pride in those eyes, but admiration and deep love. Maybe she said thank you, maybe not. But she repeatedly repeated, "I'm proud of you," with her gaze. Sara's post showed that she, too, is a woman who wants to build a relationship together, not just consume it. This video by Sara Bluma also revealed how valuable Yaman is to someone. It was a low-key yet meaningful response. It was as if she were saying, "Together we are stronger." Staying in the news with sincerity, not in the tabloids. Yaman's career has always had its ups and downs. Criticism, praise, scandals, successes. But today, the consistency and sincerity he demonstrates in his private life have perhaps made him even more valuable. He is no longer the center of attention for drunken photos, but as a man who cooks for his beloved. This proves that Yaman is not only a good actor, but also a person with great emotional intelligence. He knows what he feels and how to make others feel. And perhaps that is why he continues to hold a special place in the eyes of millions. There is no paper in love, but also in the kitchen. The meal that Yaman prepared for his girlfriend, Sara Bluma, is more than a culinary achievement. It is a manifestation of love. He didn't pose for the camera, he didn't share the recipe, he simply loved. He looked his girlfriend in the eyes, spent time with her, and conveyed his love in every detail. This event was not just a moment of preparing a meal. It was a scene that showed that love isn't experienced through the eyes, but through action. Despite the criticism and envy, it was the simplest and most moving way to say, "This is my life, and Sara is the most beautiful thing in it." Yaman through the eyes of Sara Bluma, more than a man, a world. Lights, cameras, fans, applause. Everything revolves around him. Yaman, the Turkish star who transcends borders. But beyond those lights, there's a man that only I can see. Not the can everyone knows. The can of my eyes. A man who cooks, laughs, and says a lot even in silence. And yes, he's not just every woman's man, he's my man. In this life where I'm known as Sara Bluma, everyone calls me Yaman's girlfriend. But I don't see him as a lover, but as a confidant, a companion. The ideal partner. And that moment, the way he stood in the kitchen preparing dinner. That's when I saw once again how real he was. A man beyond the lights, life in my eyes. When I first met Yaman, it was impossible not to notice the energy that surrounded him. He had a charm that managed to capture attention even in the middle of a crowd. But what struck me was his tone of voice. He wasn't the kind of man who spoke loudly, who drew everyone in. He simply turned to me and spoke a simple sentence in a low voice. "Are you happy to be here?" That's when it hit me. This man isn't as unattainable as you might think. On the contrary, he appreciates the value of being human. With him, I never felt obligated to simply look beautiful. He loved me. Even without makeup, even on a difficult day. Wanting to hug me. He loved my silence as much as my smile. And that made him unique in my eyes. A silent love that began in the kitchen. That day was just another day. The scent of fresh herbs wafting from the kitchen into the living room. A soft Italian melody in the background, the tomato sauce splashing on Can's white t-shirt. It was so simple, so sincere. "Sit down. I'll prepare it," he said. Not forced, but with true intent. Then it hit me. Some men impress with flowers, but Ken offers his love on a plate. He turned to me while cooking, winking. "Don't fake it if it tastes bad," he said with a smile. But even in the worst of times, his love was in that plate. And his love was enough to make everything delicious. Sometimes you look for love in grand events, expensive gifts, surprise trips. But I found it with the grated Parmesan cheese he sprinkled on the pasta. Because the effort and ostentation that went into that cheese wasn't love. Despite the criticism, the simplicity of love. Sometimes I see posts about me on social media. People ask, "Is she Yaman's girlfriend?" And the comments say, "She deserves better." At first, I was upset. It's inevitable to be moved. But then I remember how Ken looks at me. He loves me not as a woman who deserves me, but as a woman who is already his wife. Equal, complementary, simple, and genuine. So, instead of responding to the criticism, I stay by his side. Because sometimes, it's not enough for a man to protect you from everyone, but for you to feel safe with him. Ken gives me that feeling. He's not someone who hides his love, he's not afraid to show it. But he doesn't do it out of a sensationalist frenzy, he does it from the heart. When you take my hand, not to pose, but to make you feel, it stops me. That's why being with him is one of the best decisions I've ever made. Can't silence. The voice of depth. From the outside, Ken can seem talkative, assertive, and challenging. But when we're alone together, he transforms into a completely different person. He becomes silent. He speaks without speaking. Sometimes a glance is enough, sometimes just leaning on my shoulder. One can feel alone in a crowd, but even when I'm alone with him, I feel crowded. Because Ken embodies so many emotions. Being with him is like walking through a forest. He's quiet, but there's a surprise, a beauty around every corner. The affection he shows me isn't about proving it to anyone. The love Ken gives me is like a gift he sees no need to hide. Because his love isn't encapsulated, it's pure and honest. When I ate the food he prepared, not only my stomach, but my heart felt full as well. Because Ken wasn't just cooking. He offered himself to me. His devotion, his love, at that table. With a silent but profound love. I'm not just in love with Ken. I love living with him, being silent. Laughing, being surprised. To me, he's more than a man. He's my world. Sometimes I watch him wearily. He's returned from a long shoot, tired, but still smiling. Then my gaze falls on the pots in the kitchen. A plate of food. A glass of water. Sharing these things sometimes says more than 1,000 words. I don't know when we'll get married, when we'll have children. But one thing I do know. This love is based on effort, not time. And Yaman tries a little harder every day. For me, for us, for this love. Sometimes he's far from his country, sometimes from his family. But every moment we build together is like the bricks of a home. Sometimes, a single photo of us sparks conversation on social media for days. But our relationship is real, with what we've experienced before and after that photo was taken. Yes, Yaman may be the favorite of millions. But for me, he's simply my Can. He's the man who cheers me up with tea at breakfast and makes me smile with pasta at dinner. Love isn't described, it's lived. Can sometimes asks me, what does this relationship mean to you? I never answer. Because I can't measure Can's love for me in words. The trust, peace, and warmth he brings me aren't described, they're lived. I don't judge Yaman just by the characters in the TV shows I watch. I know him by his morning sleepiness, his late-night distraction, and his daily jokes. Waking up to his voice, falling asleep in his arms. That's my Can. And that moment of the meal, a moment to remember forever. That day, the man who prepared dinner for me in the kitchen wasn't just a chef. That day, he was the man of my life, the owner of my heart, my most faithful friend. That's why that moment may be the image I'll never forget. Because the way to a woman's heart isn't just through words, but through actions. Yaman knows this. And I'm proud to be the woman in this world who felt his love. We've reached the end of the video, friends. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next video. Bye.